Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks for coming by today. I thought I'd just kind of do a little chat with you. Just sit and chat for a second. And try to get back in the swing of things for me. Doing little book chat videos. I used to do little videos, about like a single book. And I've gotten out the practice of that. So I kind of like to try to get back into doing these every so often. Especially now that I'm also trying to get back in the swing of getting back into some Netgalley things, with advanced reader copies, and especially for some books I'm excited to get to, and yeah, it's always fun when you get to read something a little bit early, I think. So let's see. That's what this little video is going to be about. So, and I call them book chats, not book reviews, because I don't necessarily consider myself like a book reviewer, but I'm a book chatter. And this is basically what my channel is just chatting about stuff. So today we're going to chat about Galloway's Gospel by Sam Rebelein. This is released September 16th, if my memory serves. I'll correct if I'm off today, but I'm pretty sure that is it. And I really liked it. Yeah, so let's get into it. So this is Galloway's Gospel, like I said, by Sam Rebelein. This is his, I believe, his second novel. I read Edenville, which I'm pretty sure was his debut novel, and which came out, was it 2023? I think we read that towards the end of 2023, I believe it was. Loved it. Immediately loved it right away. It is, wonderfully just weird and strange and like small town vibes with like something, epic and weird going on. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And when I saw this, I was like, okay, I gotta get to, because guess what? We travel back to Renfield County, which is where Edenville is also set. So he is really like fleshing out this, little place of the world that he has created for us. And I'm just so jazzed about it. So like I said, we are back in Renfield County, but this time we're spending a little bit of time in Burnskid. I'm not sure how to pronounce that fully. I'm saying Burnskid, but it's one of the little towns in Renfield County. And so we spent a little time there, and we're learning a little bit about the history of this little town. I think from what I remember, there are little mentions of this town in Edenville, that it's a bit of a mysterious sort of place. And yeah. So in Galloway's Gospel, we are taken back to Renfield County. Now, Renfield County was also the setting for Edenville. So Sam is really like fleshing out this little spot in the world that he's created for us. And I'm super jazzed. And in it, we follow two Rachels. Yeah, we got two Rachels, and we follow them as our story unfolds. We've got Rachel Galloway, hence the name Galloway's Gospel. We follow her timeline in 2009, and she is living in Burnskid. And she's a high school student, and like a lot of high school students that live in a small town, she's a bit of an outsider. She's got kind of one good friend, but the friends that you have in middle school aren't always the friends you have in high school, particularly her one friend who is now a cheerleader, and they just, they ride different vibes. You know what I'm saying? So, but she does have her one good friend, and in school, she's a creative type. She's kind of maybe a little emo, a little bit outside, the box sort of type of girl. I mean, we know these girls, right? We were probably once one of these girls, yeah. But she's very creative, and she, instead of sort of taking notes and studying and doing things that she should be doing, she, writes in her notebook and draws little creatures and things and bits and bobs. And one thing kind of leads to another, and maybe she accidentally creates an entire cult around her drawings. And we've got people, particularly this one other kid in high school that's in her class, Francis. He is very much latches on to Rachel's ideas of this world that she has created. And there's this whole almost, like I said, it's cult-like. There's this almost religious, tone to the things that she is creating, and it has a history, and she does the whole thing. And like I said, it gets a little out of hand. Yeah, it gets a little bit out of hand, and maybe a bit more than she really ever imagined, right? And now we fast forward 10 years in the future, where we meet our next Rachel. So Rachel Durwood, she is a part of the Guard, the Renfield County Guard, RCG, I think it was. And they give me sort of, X-Files mixed with like a Men in Black vibe. They're like outside of the law enforcement. They're not police officers, but they are, they track down these odd happenings in Renfield County, which we know it's odd. If you've read Edenville for sure, odd things are afoot in Renfield County, sort of, beasts and monsters and things and all sorts of things, cursed, wood, possessed things, it's a thing, right? And so they are responsible for sort of tracking these sorts of things down to eliminate threats, right? She has a partner named Bruce, who I really like. and yeah, so let me flash back a little bit, actually, because the events that are going on in Burnskid lead to, Burnskid is a town, but it's, the only way in and out is through this tunnel. And which sometime in the past, the tunnel collapsed on itself. So it has been shut off to time and place and things. And it is a mystery of what happened over there. And until, like I said, let's jump back 10 years in the future, and somehow the tunnel is miraculously open. Yeah. As you can imagine, these are where our stories are going to come together, because the Guard folk, Rachel and her partner Bruce, are going to be investigating this tunnel, why it's open, and what is inside, and what has been going on in Burnskid for the past 10 years. So this is basically the crux of our story, and we are flip-flapping back and forwards through time, to past, Rachel, as we are, the stories inside Burnskid are unfolding, as shit basically hits the fan. And then we've got our Rachel Durwood in 2019, who is trying to investigate what's happening in the town today. And so, of course, our stories will come together. And when they do, woo, let me tell you something. So this cult that was created is very inventive and very creative, and a little bit violent. Sacrifices must be made, and must be made willingly. You gotta have faith in what's going on, right? I'm just saying. They are awaiting the return of the fogmonger, who is this large fog, beast that is supposed to bring about, good stuff. I mean, that's kind of what happens, right? And so the things that they have been doing, it goes bonkers wild. Like I said, with sacrifices. There's some really great body horror imagery in here. If you like body horror stuff, I think you really like this. Yeah, I think you really like this book. Limbs, being torn, things of that nature. Just odd creatures. All that kind of stuff is really, it's very interesting and fun, strange and surreal and weird. And again, yeah, I loved it so much. I really, really liked the sort of cast of supporting characters here as well, because we have our two Rachels, but they're, all these other folks, especially the inhabitants of Burnskid itself. It's this little town that's come to life, and you've got all these little characters that inhabit it, and you get to know them all through this story, and you do get a little attached to them, and it's interesting. And then how some of this does tie into the overall, like I said, sort of weird history of Renfield County itself. So it's just really good. So what I like about Sam Rebelein's writing is his just, well, he just goes there. I love when an author is like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. And then they proceed to do that thing. Yeah, if it sounds bonkers, banana pants wild, and you put that bonkers, banana pants wild on the page for me to read, look, I'm a fan. I'm a fan and I'm sold and I love it. I love the strangeness of this little town. You know, when you have like little towns where weird things happen, you know, I feel like it just, small towns are a perfect place to have those sorts of things occur, you know, because they're just really a microcosm of larger society, right? And I love that that he has set this sort of place, or set this sort of story in, you know, this sort of small place like that. What else do I enjoy? I love the setting. I love the characters, like I said. And I just love the way this story was told. I love going backwards and forth and getting, you know, little snippets of what's going on and filling in, you know, the full sort of puzzle piece of the story as we're moving, you know, backwards and forwards through time and learning about our two Rachels who are, you know, at different points of life, of course, and are on different trajectories, but you know, of course, are connected by the strangeness of Renfield County, right? So yeah, I highly recommend, if you just like, again, just kind of off the wall, you know, strange little stories. If you like cultish-like stories, I think you definitely like this one. I definitely like cult type stories. And this one was really good, and the cult itself is just super interesting. And would I recommend to read Edenville before this? I mean, you don't have to necessarily, but I think I would say, if you were interested in reading Edenville and just hadn't gotten around to it yet, I would say yes, read Edenville first. Only because it does fill in a little bit of history of Renfield County itself, you know, the sort of dark history, the dark past, and the weird goings on of Edenville, or not Edenville, at Edenville College, where that's at, but also kind of, you know, the Renfield County, like I said, as a greater, you know, place. But, you know, not much. The events that happen in Edenville are, you know, some of it is relevant, and some of the characters, so, you know, I hesitate to say, like, no, you don't need to. I would say yes, just to fill in the greater picture of Renfield County before you dive into Galloway's gospel. That's what I'll say there, without trying to be, you know, too spoiler about, yeah, these particular characters are in this book or whatever, you know, or this is mentioned that you really need to know. But yeah, so yeah, I would recommend to read Edenville first, and then Galloway's gospel. And again, it's truly just to flesh out the whole story, the whole town, the whole county of Renfield County. Yeah. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this story. I hope that Sam Rebelein continues to write stories in Renfield County, because I'm excited, because I know that it can only get more weirder and stranger, and I'm here for it. So yeah, I'm going to leave it right here. Let me know if you read Edenville and loved it and wanted to also read this book, or if maybe I enticed you to give this author a try. I am very impressed with his writing thus far that I've read. Can't wait to see what's next. So yeah, and again, thank you to, of course, Netgalley and the publisher for letting me get this early copy off Netgalley. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I hope that if you give it a go, that you will enjoy it too, because it's just a fun time ride. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see if I can get some more book chats done in the future. We'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching. I hope that you're doing well and, you know, staying weird. You know, weird stuff's good. All right, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.